Hello, welcome to this Price a Job tutorial. In this video, we'll be taking a look at the project management tools for timesheets. To access your project timesheets, go to the top navigation bar and select Project. Then from the right-hand sidebar, you can select whichever project it is that you're looking to access the timesheets for. In this case, we'll be accessing 23 Sparrow Way. Now, in the left sidebar, we'll go to the Project Management section of Tools and select Timesheets. Now, if you don't have the project management modules shown here, it may be because your subscription to Price a Job does not include this package. To upgrade, you can go to your account icon here in the top right, click the drop down, and select Shop. Then you can select the project management module and subscribe either monthly or yearly. The monthly cost is $39 a month. However, if you subscribe yearly, the monthly cost is only $26.58. And if you're looking for an even better bargain and planning on purchasing more than one module, we strongly encourage you to consider the all-included package, which sells for $5.99 a year or just $49 a month. That's compared to $777 if you're to buy all the packages separately. Now, alternatively, if you don't have the project management package but you do have the accounting package, you can use the accounting package to access the timesheets instead. And that can be accessed in the app by clicking Start. And rather than selecting the Project tab, this time we'll select Accounting. And then in the left sidebar, we can select Timesheet, and this opens up the timesheet module for the project that's been selected. And you can change the selected project here in the project selection dropdown. In this case though, let's go back to the project tab and we'll select timesheet. And you can see we already have one person added to this timesheet, Rob Smith. To add another person, we can just click the Add Person button here. And this shows a list of your staff that you set up already in the company setup. If you're looking to add someone who doesn't appear in this list here, you can create a new staff member by clicking here, Create New. And then you can enter their name and their hourly rate, and then save. And this adds your new employee to the timesheet. And we can display these timesheets by week or by specific date, and this will show the timesheets for a specific day, or we can display them by report. And here from this drop-down menu, we can choose to show timesheets from last week, this week, last month, the fiscal year, or custom dates, by choosing from and to dates from the calendar picker. In this case, let's just stick with the weekly timesheet, and we can double check to make sure we're selected for the proper week by selecting the dates from the calendar here. In this case, we'll just scroll ahead and select the date from the calendar. Then we can input the hours. So let's add a person to this timesheet here. We'll select Tyrell and add his hours here. So we'll say Monday he did 8 hours, Tuesday 8, Wednesday 8 hours, and perhaps Thursday he had an irregular shift. So here we might use the calculator to help us to calculate his hours. So to do that, we would input his time that he arrived here in the in field. So we might say 7 o'clock, and then the time that he left, which was 3:15. But this is a 24-hour clock, so if we put 3:15, Price a Job will think we mean 3 in the morning. So to change that to 24 hours, we'll make that 15:15. And Price a Job will recognize that as being 3:15 in the afternoon. And then we can input his break time. Perhaps he had a 40-minute break. And Price a Job automatically calculates the time that he worked that day, multiplied by his hourly rate, and calculates his total earnings for the day. If there are any other items we'd like to add to this, we can click Add Item, and input his time here, including the wage type, whether this is normal hours, overtime, price work, sick leave, or vacation pay. If you need to add a different type of work time, you can do so by clicking Add Work Time here. In this case, we don't need this extra row, so we'll just click the trash icon here to delete that row and confirm the deletion. Now when we close this window, we see that the calculation has been added to the timesheet, 7 hours and 35 minutes. And if we click on the calculator icon again, we can see the calculation that we used to come up with that time. Now let's move to a different project. Let's select the Extra Garage project here, and we'll add an employee to this job. We'll add Tyrell. And we'll say that Monday he worked 12 hours, and Tuesday he worked 12 hours. So now we have timesheets created for several different projects. In order to see this employee's total earnings, we can now go to the Company tab here in the top navigation bar and select Staff. And then we can select Tyrell from the sidebar here, and then view his timesheet under the Timesheets tab here. And here we'll see a record of all of Tyrell's timesheets across all projects, along with his total earnings. Now you may run into an instance where you're looking at a project and you see an employee that has worked hours every day, but yet their earnings are set to 0. Let's open the calculator and try to recreate that. Here, let's change these normal hours to overtime, and close, and change these normal hours to overtime. and close. So here we can see that Tyrell has worked 24 hours between these days here, but yet his earnings are only tallied at 0. It's not an error, it's just simply an oversight, and this is because the employee's hourly rate has not been set yet for the overtime rate of pay. So to fix this, open the Rates tab, and here we can add a new rate. So now we'll add overtime, and for his overtime rate, we'll set that at double time is $70. Now we can go back to his timesheet and reopen this calculator. And we see that the rate still hasn't changed yet because we set this before we altered his rate. So now that we've altered his rate, let's change this from overtime to normal, and now back to overtime. And we can see now that the overtime pay shows his new rate of pay. So we can close that window, and we'll do the same thing for his Tuesday pay. Go here and change the overtime to normal, and then to overtime to show the new rate of pay. And now we can see that his overtime rate of pay is now properly accounted for. Alternatively, rather than using the calculator and selecting the hours type and toggling between normal and overtime, you could just delete this week and then re-input it from scratch. And these hours will be calculated at whatever his current rate of pay is. If you were to change his rate of pay, none of his existing timesheets will be affected. Only any new hours that you log in after you change the rate of pay. Now, if you'd like to access the timesheets from the Accounting tab, you can do so here in the top navigation bar and select Accounting, and then choose Timesheet. And then from the drop-down menu here, you can choose the project for which you want to see a timesheet for. So in this case, we're looking at the Extra Garage project, and we can see the overtime hours that Tyrell worked. Or if we select the Sparrow Way project, we can see his normal hours that he worked, along with the calculations that we made to calculate his hours on Wednesday. And if we'd like to see all projects represented here, we can just select from the drop-down menu. Instead of the specific project, we can select all projects. And this will show us the timesheets for all projects, not only for this one employee, but for all employees. In this case, we've only set up timesheets for Tyrell. But if we wanted to add a person, we could simply click Add Person, select the staff member, choose the project that they worked on, click Save, and then input their hours. I'm just going to tab across here and input 8 hours a day for the weekdays. And this timesheet shows us all the timesheets for this specific date range that we're currently viewing by week. But we can also view specific days or by report, and selecting the custom dates, we could view either last week, this week, last month, or the fiscal year. If we choose fiscal year, it'll show us all timesheets for the entire year, and if we scroll down far enough, we'll find week 10 where we just inputted these timesheets here. We can also sort these results by all staff or showing just specific staff. So for example, we can just select Tyrell here. And now when we scroll down, we'll find here's the week 10 timesheets, but Rob Smith has been removed due to the filter that we set up here to show only Tyrell. Now let's go back to our weekly results, and perhaps we want to create an invoice for this. So for that, we can go to the sidebar here and select Invoices. And then to add an invoice, we click the button here, Add Invoice. And to import the hours, we can simply add from estimate. And we can either choose estimate or timesheet, and because we've already input the hours into our timesheet, we'll select that. And then we can select the worker, in this case Tyrell, and then choose the date range from the 6th to the 12th. And this shows all the dates that this employee worked during this week. On all projects, we could filter this by a specific project by clicking all projects here and choosing specific projects. So again, we'll add from estimate, select from timesheets, select Tyrell, choose the date range from March 6th to March 12th, and this shows all the hours that this employee worked. If we want to invoice all of these hours, we can check mark the box Select All, or if we're only invoicing for a specific project, we can deselect any hours that don't apply. So for these 3 days, we can see this employee earned $825. So now we can click Import, and these hours are all imported into the invoice. If you have any blank fields here, we can remove that row by clicking the trash bin. And now we can either continue to add items manually by clicking Add Item, or we can add from estimate and remove any items that are not needed, and then assign the invoice to a customer. And we can select our customers from the drop-down list here. And when we're done, click Save. And this creates a new invoice stored here in our Invoices tab. To view this, we can click on the invoice number and view the invoice details. And you have the options to either print the invoice, export it as a PDF, or send it out by email using PriceOfJobs email servers, or delete the invoice. And that's how you can use the timesheet module in either the project management or accounting packages. Thank you for using PriceOfJob.